Imagine a creature with a mouth full of spiraling teeth, another with armor plates like a medieval knight, and one so bizarre it looks like a Pokemon that escaped into reality. Earth has seen some truly nightmare-inducing animals, and today we're counting down the top 8 weirdest creatures that ever existed. From prehistoric horrors to real-life alien-looking monsters, you won't believe what made it to number 1. Starting off at number 8, imagine a creature so bizarre it looks like an alien from another world. Meet Opabinia, one of the strangest life forms to ever exist. This little nightmare lived over 500 million years ago in the Cambrian seas, and trust me, it was weird. It had 5 eyes, sitting on stalks, giving it near 360-degree vision, because, apparently, 2 just weren't enough. And if that's not strange enough, it had a long, flexible trunk ending in a claw, like some underwater elephant-crab hybrid. It used this to grab prey and shove it straight into its mouth, conveniently hidden under its body. Despite looking like a mistake of evolution, Opabinia was a swift swimmer, using its many lobes to glide through the ancient seas, hunting for soft-bodied prey. But here's the twist. Opabinia was a dead end in evolution. No modern descendants, no living relatives, just a freakish oddity lost to time. Its fossils left scientists baffled when first discovered. Some even laughed, thinking it was a joke. But nope, Opabinia was real, and it was one of the weirdest creatures to ever roam the earth. What other strange creatures are lurking in Earth's past? Coming up next at number 7, imagine a shark, but with a giant buzzsaw in its mouth. Meet Helicoprion, one of the strangest creatures to ever swim Earth's oceans. Living 290 million years ago, this prehistoric predator wasn't your typical shark. Instead of normal teeth, it had a spiral-shaped whorl of razor-sharp blades. Scientists were baffled for years. Was it on its nose? Its tail? Turns out, this bizarre saw curled up inside its lower jaw like a deadly pizza cutter. But how did it eat? Well, instead of chomping like a great white, Helicoprion would slice through soft-bodied prey like squid with a rolling motion, shredding them in seconds. No bones, no competition, just pure ancient nightmare fuel. And get this, Helicoprion survived for millions of years, outliving many of its terrifying marine rivals. Yet, despite its success, it vanished before the dinosaurs even showed up. Was it evolution's weirdest mistake, or a prehistoric marvel ahead of its time? Either way, Helicoprion remains one of the ocean's greatest mysteries. Would you swim with a buzzsaw shark? Next up at number 6, imagine a creature so bizarre that scientists spent decades trying to figure out which way it even walked. Meet Hallucigenia, a real-life alien from Earth's distant past. Living over 500 million years ago, this tiny worm-like creature had spikes on its back, no obvious head, and legs that looked like tentacles. When it was first discovered, paleontologists actually thought they were looking at it upside down, mistaking its spines for legs. For years, no one knew where Hallucigenia fit in the tree of life. It was unlike anything alive today, like a mix between a centipede, a sea cucumber, and a porcupine. But thanks to modern science, we now know it was an ancestor of today's velvet worms. Despite its strange looks, Hallucigenia survived one of the most important moments in history, the Cambrian explosion, a time when life was rapidly evolving. But eventually, this spiky enigma vanished, leaving behind fossils that continue to baffle and amaze. Crazy, right? Up next, at number 5, imagine an elephant, but with a giant, flat, shovel-shaped mouth. Meet Platybelodon, one of the strangest prehistoric creatures to ever roam the earth. Living around 15 million years ago, this bizarre relative of modern elephants had massive, extended lower tusks that looked like a built-in shovel. But what was it for? Some scientists believe Platybelodon used its strange mouth to scoop up vegetation from swamps, while others think it acted like a machete, stripping bark from trees. Despite its weird appearance, this animal was massive, growing up to 13 feet, 4 meters tall, and weighing as much as a rhino. But here's the twist. This shovel-tusked wonder wasn't a great design. Over time, better adapted elephant relatives outcompeted it, and Platybelodon went extinct. So next time you think nature is strange, just remember, millions of years ago, there was an elephant with a built-in shovel for a mouth. Would you want to see one in real life? Halfway there, at number 4, imagine a creature so bizarre, it looks like a sci-fi monster. Meet Anomalocaris, the nightmare shrimp of the ancient seas. This 3-foot-long predator ruled the oceans over 500 million years ago during the Cambrian period, long before dinosaurs ever existed. With huge spiked claws for grabbing prey, a circular razor-lined mouth that crushed anything it caught, and giant, stalked eyes that made it one of the most advanced hunters of its time, Anomalocaris was a true prehistoric terror. But for years, scientists had no idea what they were looking at. Fossilized parts of Anomalocaris were mistaken for separate animals until they finally put the pieces together. The result? One of the strangest creatures ever discovered. Despite its fearsome looks, Anomalocaris disappeared along with many other Cambrian oddities. But its bizarre design still baffles scientists today. Was it it an evolutionary dead end or the ancestor of modern arthropods? Crazy nightmare, right? Up next at number 3. For over 50 years, all scientists had were these giant 3-foot-long claws. No one knew what kind of creature they belonged to. A predator? A dinosaur nightmare? Then, in 2014, the mystery was finally solved. Meet Deinocheirus, the terrible hand, and it's one of the weirdest dinosaurs to ever exist. Imagine an ostrich, but 35 feet long, with a humped back, massive arms, and a duck-like snout. It wasn't a vicious hunter. This thing was an herbivore, using its wide beak to scoop up plants and fish from ancient rivers. And that hump? Scientists think it was a fat reserve like a camel, or maybe for display. It looked like a mix of a T-Rex, a duck, and a sloth, but somehow it worked. From terrifying mystery to bizarre reality, Deinocheirus proves that dinosaurs were stranger than we ever imagined. Coming up next at number 2, imagine a creature so bizarre, scientists thought its skull was a mistake. Meet Atopodentatus, the zipper-mouth reptile, a prehistoric oddity from 240 million years ago. When first discovered, its skull looked shattered until experts realized it wasn't broken, it was just weird. Its mouth, a sideways zipper-like saw of interlocking teeth. But why the strange grin? Turns out, Atopodentatus was a gentle giant, using that crazy mouth to filter tiny sea creatures, kind of like a prehistoric vacuum cleaner. Roaming the warm Triassic seas, this reptile looked part dinosaur, part sea monster, and part mistake. But nope, this was nature's oddball at its finest. From a skull that baffled scientists to a feeding style like no other, Atopodentatus proves one thing: prehistoric life was stranger than fiction. Would you swim with this zipper-toothed wonder? And at last but not least, did Earth once have its own alien life form? Meet the Tully Monster, one of the strangest creatures ever to exist. Discovered in Illinois in 1958, this 300-million-year-old fossil has puzzled scientists for decades. Was it a fish, a worm, a squid? No one could tell. It had a torpedo-shaped body, stalk-like eyes on the sides of its head, and a long, trunk-like mouth with a pincer at the end, like something straight out of science fiction. For years, researchers couldn't even decide if it was a vertebrate or an invertebrate. Some thought it was a soft-bodied sea creature, while others believed it had a backbone. Then, in 2016, scientists finally found evidence suggesting the Tully Monster was a jawless fish, related to lampreys. But even that's debated. So was it an ancient alien? A prehistoric oddity? The truth is, we still don't fully know. The Tully Monster remains one of Earth's greatest biological mysteries.